to know you, getting to know all about you.
Well, you know about me because you hear me or see me every week. I'm Joanne Mercier from Monday Morning Catholic, and I believe we saved the best for last from the NPM convention in St. Louis, Missouri. We are going to be sitting down with probably three of the more famous composers in Catholic church music today. We had to do something. We had to come up with a real slam bang finish. You know how we are if you've been with us every week, and why aren't you with us every week? Monday Morning Catholic is our podcast. We look back at the scriptures from the weekend and the homilies that we've heard and try to make some sense of it all, and of course points don't matter. You can find us at mondaymorningcatholic.net. You can find us on iTunes. You can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/Monday Morning Catholic. If this is your first time watching or listening to us, thank you for joining us. We go back into the archives and you'll find everything else. But these four specials that we did from St. Louis were something that we wanted to put together and make available to those who could not come to the convention, or for those who were at the convention and didn't get a chance to see any of these composers, well, though I find it hard to believe you didn't at some point. First up, Steve Romano sits with, or stands, I believe, in the clips that we have, with Dan Schutte. Now, Here I Am, Lord, you are near, glory and praise to our God. He's the man who's brought them all to you. So I was glad that Steve got a chance to talk with him and get his particular point of view on a few things. So here's Steve's report.
Here we go. Good morning. I'm Steve Romano coming to you from NPM St. Louis. I have Dan Schutte here, wonderful composer, member of St. Louis Jesuits. I guess your most popular would be Here I Am, Lord, or would it be You Are Near?
No, Here I Am, Lord.
Here I Am, Lord. Well, he needs no more introduction than that. And so I'm just going to ask you quickly how you got your start in liturgical music.
Sure, I'll try to do my best,
yeah.
Stephen. It's funny because many people connect my early music, at least, with guitar accompanied.
Correct.
And that's not the way my introduction to church music and to liturgy happened. I happened to grow up in a grade school where the sisters that taught us Gregorian chant from our early days. My first time playing at Mass was actually because Mom and Dad invited a pastor over to our house for dinner one night, and they said, Dan, would you play something for the priest? And so, of course, I did, and a couple of weeks later, he called up my mom and said, do you think we could get Dan to play organ for our early Sunday morning Mass? We can't find anybody for the 8 a.m. liturgy. So the sister takes me up to the organ loft, and all she shows me is where the key is, to how to turn the thing on. And I'm sitting there, I don't even know if my feet could touch the pedals, and scared to death, and played for probably 6 months for that 8 a.m. Sunday liturgy.
Great. And I suspect a lot of us got a similar start.
Yes.
Yes, just do it. There's the bench, just
sort
do it.
Sort of a serendipity, and
yes.
Just get in there. And
yeah, and then, of course, St. Louis Jesuits fame took off from there.
Yeah.
Anything new that you have right now, or just recently that has come out? Any collections?
I did a collection that came out about a year ago. It's called To Praise You.
Yes. And
here at the convention, the OCP Showcase, we're going to do one of the pieces, a Te Deum piece, called Hymn of Praise from that. I think it's one of my best collections, especially in terms of the recording quality. It really turned out wonderfully. Sometimes, the recordings are up and down, and sometimes you're happy with the way it turns out, and sometimes you're not.
Well, I'm happy to say that we bought that collection.
Did you?
I bought it for my whole choir, and we used Come Unto Me, All Who Are Weary, for our Remembrance Mass in November, and we're going to start using the rest of the stuff in that book. It's a great book.
Oh,
great
thank
book.
you.
So you out
glad,
there
glad that you use it.
In podcast world. It's called To Praise You, and it's through OCP.
OCP,
Okay.
yep.
And just maybe a couple of thoughts about where we're headed right now in liturgical music. There's a lot going on.
Oh man, yes. We live in this wonderful day and age where we are blessed by so many wonderful composers and so much beautiful music that it allows us to really have a choice in the music that we do and in the styles, because as a music director, not every style of music touches everybody's hearts. And when it comes to liturgy, our whole purpose is to help people to pray with the music. So this wonderful broad expanse of music that we are blessed with these days allows us, I think, to touch many more people's needs and what they need to pray.
Right.
Rather than coming in and say, I know what my community needs, and this is what we're going to sing, and that's it. And it never touches everybody. As far as where we're going, I think my hunch is that we're going to continue to see greater and greater diversity because our communities are growing in diversity, both of culture, but of also political, theological, religious, faith perspectives.
Right.
We're going to see music that tries to speak to that kind of diversity.
Right.
And in a way, it's a wonderful thing. Some of us, find that kind of change difficult to deal with,
Especially in the older communities.
Especially in the older communities, yeah.
Yes.
We human beings love our traditions, and we love those wonderful familiar habits because they make us feel secure.
Right. Good.
So.
All right, and I know you're no stranger to Rhode Island. You've been several times.
Oh, yes.
And we hope to have you back soon. We'll figure something out. But,
wonderful, Stephen.
All right, everybody. So, again, from St. Louis, ciao for now. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Next up, Linda Reed brings us one of the Minnesota Three, Marty Haugen. Marty has got a catalog that would fill an entire library. We're talking Shepherd Me, O God. We're talking To You, O Lord. We're talking, of course, the massive creation. Everyone knows that. You start singing it and everyone follows. It's been done at papal masses. It's been done at masses in small little country churches. It's Marty, and he has brought us all of these wonderful compositions of his throughout the years. Linda, I was glad, got a chance to sit with him after one of his presentations, and here's what she has for us.
Hello, my name is Linda Reed, and I'm a regular contributor to the Monday Morning Catholic podcast. We're here at the National Pastoral Musicians Convention, and I am very happy to be able to talk to Marty Haugen, someone whom I have admired for a long time and whose music makes up a huge part of our parish's repertoire. Marty?
Hi, Linda.
Hi. What I would like to know, just a couple of simple questions. What is your current position? What are you doing now?
I'm currently freelancing. I do workshops and write music. I attend a parish in South Minneapolis, Mayflower United Church of Christ, but as a member, I sit in the congregation and occasionally help out, but my life is mostly spent writing and doing workshops.
Really?
Yes, really.
Wow. Well, it's not that wouldn't keep you busy enough.
Well, it is.
But the other thing is, I was wondering, what made you get into this service of the Lord in the first place?
In 1973, I was working at a Roman Catholic parish in Bloomington, Minnesota. Mm-hmm. At that time, just 6 or 7 years after the Vatican II implementation, the repertoire was still really sparse. In fact, I remember after my first week there, I was given a copy of Neither Silver Nor Gold, the St. Louis Jesuits' first project, and I thought, there's a real need for new music, and especially I wrote for my parish. I wrote for my own parish use for next Sunday. I looked at the lectionary, wrote mass parts, wrote songs, wrote music that would fit for the season, and then gradually started sharing it with other music directors around the area. And That was 73, 74, and about 1980 I first got published. I've been writing for quite a while.
Yes. And I would be remiss, of course, if I didn't ask you, not ask you, but comment on the huge success of your massive creation. It's even survived It's even survived the new missive translation.
Massive Creation, like the other things, was written for a parish.
Yes.
I worked at my second parish was St. Timothy's in Blaine, Minnesota, and they had an established music ministry with a couple of folk groups and a choir and an organist or two, and each group had their own mass setting. And so I wanted to bring them together for Holy Week and the Triduum, so Massive Creation was written so that they would each have a setting that they felt was theirs, but they could all sing together.
Sure.
Because they weren't singing the separate settings together.
And actually,
I think that was a lot of the success. Not that it was the greatest piece of music, but it filled a function at the time that was needed. A mass that could be used across styles.
Of course it filled a function, and it filled a function in the parish where I was working also. Because I was in both the contemporary ensemble and the choir, and we both learned it and used it.
What I usually find is if the community that I'm praying with or serving has a need, oftentimes that's a need somewhere else. And so I don't necessarily write with some large abstract church in mind. I write with a particular group of people in a community, and oftentimes if it fulfills a need for them, it will fulfill a need for others.
This certainly did. And there's just so many other of your pieces that are have already stood the test of time.
Well, the test of time, I think, is a century or two or three.
Well,
or five.
perhaps, but
20 years is.
There are some pieces of music that have already fallen by the wayside.
Yeah.
That are no longer in use. You have many pieces of music that are still beloved and in use. Shepherd Me, O God occurs to me. That's a very frequent choice of families for funerals. So we are very grateful that you have
I'm
entered.
grateful for that. To me, being able to do something for your life's work that serves something that helps other people in their journey of faith is the greatest blessing you can have.
I agree, and it's beautiful. One last thing, and that is down the road, when you're not here anymore, how would you like people to remember you?
I was a good grandfather.
Oh, I know. My grandchildren are the light of my life.
When you reach a certain age, somehow your perspective shifts.
Isn't it the truth?
Yeah.
Isn't it the truth? How many grandchildren do you have?
4 grandsons.
Oh, wow. I'm jealous. I only have 2. One of each.
You're still alive.
Yes. Well, this has been delightful, and I so appreciate you taking the time to do this. The folks that watch Monday Morning Catholic are going to enjoy this a lot.
Well, all the best to you and to them.
Thank you, Marty.
On your journey. Thank you, Linda.
Last but certainly not least, in anybody's book, Linda Reed gets to sit down with probably the one person I could sit and listen to him read the phone book. That would be Father Michael Jonkis, a composer, a teacher, a really great guy. I have admired him for years, especially for not just his composing, but a lot of his writing in the liturgical circles. So I was extremely glad that Linda could sit down with him as our final interview from St. Louis. Here's what they have to say.
Hello, my name is Linda Reed, and I'm a regular contributor to the Monday Morning Catholic podcast. I'm here in St. Louis at the National Convention for Pastoral Musicians, and I have the distinct pleasure of talking with Michael Jonkis today. The convention has been hectic, but we've managed to find a corner somewhere where people aren't shouting. And so I just have a few questions that I would like to ask and hope that you would be interested in hearing what he has to say. So first of all, Michael, where are you ministering now? What are you doing presently?
Well, as you know, but your
Yes.
readers probably don't.
This is for the listeners.
Yeah, exactly. I'm a priest of the Archdiocese of St. Paul in Minneapolis in Minnesota, and I've spent many years teaching at our University of St. Thomas. So my present assignment is to be artist in residence.
Excellent.
And research fellow in Catholic studies, which basically means I'm in academic heaven.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, really, you get to do the fun stuff now.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
That's terrific, and it's not only good for you, but good for everybody else.
You hope. Yeah.
Yes. So, what we would like to know, I guess, is how your vocation began, how your service to the Lord manifested itself to you first.
Okay. Well, how about if I talk about priest?
Okay.
And then a separate thing. So,
Perfect.
I think the first time I thought about being a priest was second grade.
Oh.
But not for any good reason. Our parish priest, younger parish priest, had come over to visit us at the house, and I was really happy, to have such an important figure, But I'm absolutely sure the reason was the only person I knew that my parents would pay attention to, and if he said something, it had to be done, was the parish priest. So I figured this was my chance to be in power.
All right.
Yeah.
Lofty
reasons. Yes, yeah, exactly. Now that all changed. By high school, it was social service, and priests have a special kind of care for all sorts of people, and that really attracted me.
Yes.
And then now it's mostly amazing. God can, a line from the convention, if God can do things with the jawbone of an ass, I guess he can do something with me. So,
Oh heavens! I think we all feel that way.
Yeah.
But that's an interesting start. Now, how did the music begin?
That's easier to trace, actually.
Okay.
My mother was a lyric soprano, pretty much gave up her career to raise us 8 kids, of which I'm the eldest.
8?
Yeah, 8. And my dad was in technical theater, which meant set design, makeup, all that kind of stuff. Eventually he ended up teaching at the University of Minnesota in the theater department. That just meant a lot of performing arts in the background.
Sure.
And my mom could, when we were singing, correct us. So it's like getting voice lessons at home, all of that.
And you actually listened to your mother.
Well, of course, yes. So there's that. Then I also took some piano lessons in 6th and 7th grade at our local Catholic school, kind of haunted the choir there. And then because I am a lifer, a priest that went into the seminary at 9th grade.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, oh my gosh. That then started a whole other connection to music. So there's a part of me nobody knows about. I'm a classical composer, won the Minnesota Young Composers Contest a couple times in my teenage years.
Really?
Yeah. But that stuff I write for me. The stuff I write for the church is different, quite different.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I've heard you talk several times about lots of atonal music.
Yes.
Is that the kind of stuff you work with?
I never got dodecaphonic, never got 12-tone rows strictly.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'd be closer to Bartok.
Okay.
Very polymodal and
I like
rhythmic.
Bartok.
Me too.
I like Bartok.
Yeah.
I don't like it all, but I don't like everything 20th century, but I do like Bartok.
Right.
Anyway, nobody cares what I think.
Ah.
The other question that I wanted to ask you was the state of liturgy now, as we have transitioned through several popes since the council. Where do you think we are now? Besides being in limbo.
Kind of. Actually, the historian in me thinks we're exactly where we could predict it. Most people say that the doctrines and disciplinary recommendations of an ecumenical council take 100 years to be received. So we'd be midway through that process. The sense of limbo, utterly appropriate, it seems to me. I think what we're discerning is what things are so precious to us that they must be retained, that they give us identity, and then what things must we change, as the Council Father suggested, so that the gospel can be proclaimed anew in circumstances of life. I once said to some folks, this was the council that produced the church in the modern world. And I'm not suggesting we need another council, but the issue for us now, 50 years later, is the church in the postmodern world. And that's raising new questions, how to read the signs of the times, how to respond to them.
Sure.
So, I don't know if that, did that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. This, as you say, it's about where we're supposed to be. And limbo is a good way to describe it. But sometimes it's difficult to be in limbo.
Absolutely.
You know, you're always discerning which direction, which gets tired.
It can.
But it's also exciting.
But it's an adventure.
Yes.
Exactly right.
It's also exciting.
Like Abraham being called out of home and to be on the road. See what
yes, that story always frightened me. But that's okay.
Well, at least it wasn't Jacob wrestling night after night and
that story frightened me too.
Having your thigh bone, crippled.
Poor thing. But lastly, I would like to ask you what you are working on now.
In terms of
music.
Or
anything else.
Two really big projects, long-term projects. One is I've been writing hymn texts, not so much tunes, but hymn texts, finding tunes that these texts will work with. And the idea is to produce a hymn of the day for every Sunday and solemnity in the 3-year Roman Catholic lectionary cycle.
You don't have very lofty goals, do you?
Well, if God is good, I'll die before the end of the project. But
no, don't die, because the texts are wonderful. Trust me.
Oh, thanks. That's nice. So that's one. The other big project is responsorial psalms, and likewise for every Sunday and solemnity of the 3-year cycle. The first volume of each of those projects is out. The second volume of the hymn texts I just completed, and then the responsorial psalms, I have 2 of the next two volumes done. So they're at the publishers, and publishers are figuring out how to make them available.
And they also are wonderful. They're not easy. They take a lot of work. But boy, if you're willing to put the work in, they are worth it. They are gorgeous. They really change the structure of the liturgy of the Word. It's a plug from our sponsor.
Okay, yes, there we go.
But that's it. So I would love to thank you for taking this moment.
My pleasure.
Taking this time out of the convention schedule.
When else have I ever done a selfie interview?
Yeah.
This is fun.
Yeah, really. I know. I hesitate to look at us. But this, it's going to be, for our listeners, it's going to be a real treat.
I'm glad.
So thanks a lot.
My pleasure.
Bye.
We're really thankful that we could bring you this series of podcasts from the NPM Annual Convention in St. Louis, Missouri. I really want to thank Steve Romano, Linda Reed, and Nancy Smith for doing this. This was their very first time doing anything like this, and I think they did a great job. I want to thank all of those that we did interview for sitting down with us. I would like to ask you to give us some feedback, and if you were at the convention and you have some insights, let us know. MondayMorningCatholic@gmail.com, MondayMorningCatholic.net, Facebook.com/MondayMorningCatholic. Contact us, send us some feedback, and we will be doing a wrap-up of the convention on our podcast this coming Monday morning. So please join us if you never have, and this is your first time, or come back and see us again. We really thank you for being part of our Monday Morning Catholic crew. Thank you all. God bless, and ciao for now.